One of the more challenging things that I'm dealing with as an entrepreneur who's recently left corporate is really when I go to networking events and what do I tell people? So here's what I'm learning about my own answers. The first is a lot of people do use their corporate titles and companies. I don't have that anymore. And that's not true because I do have my own companies, but this is where it's important to start recognizing my own mindset and especially discomfort within myself is that I still struggle after year and a half of leaving corporate on how to introduce myself. I work on so many projects. I follow, really what I'm passionate about. But it's been so hard to really articulate when people ask, what do you do? And I still struggle with that. And so I think the important thing to recognize here, especially for entrepreneurs, women in entrepreneurship, and people who are trying to find identity based on something that they understood before. My identity was always anchored in my job, my corporate role, my title, who I worked for. And now that that's gone, it's really hard to say, who am I? And I think this is the important thing to recognize is that we're all on our own journey and that who I am now is not necessarily defined and actually was never defined by a job title. And so now some of the things that I really do play with is, for example, I'm making soups. And that opens a set of discussions. I talk about I work with data, and that opens another set of discussions. I don't often use I'm a coach. And this is the other thing that I'm trying to come to grasp with is because of my own judgment of how I see coach as a word, right? And so this is just something I want to share as someone who's left corporate, but really struggling to find words to introduce myself. Not through titles, maybe through work. And there's so many other things that I hold as my identity, like being a mom or being a triathlete or an author, right? But that's, I think, the interesting thing about being an entrepreneur and actually, no, finding yourself, right, is really if someone asks you, hi, I'm Lisa and I'm blah, 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 right? Like, what is it that you're comfortable with at this point in identifying as yourself?